Hey guys, and welcome back again to Trying to with Leah. If you're new here, my name is Leah, and this channel is all about trying to heal from our past, evolve into better versions of ourselves, become kinder, wiser, and more loving, and definitely more aware of the world around us and the problems that need fixing. Because the truth is, none of us have it all figured out. We're all just trying. And today I want to talk about something that was really important for me when I finally started learning how to do it. And that is setting boundaries. Now, if you are, or if you used to be a people pleaser like I was, the word boundaries might feel really foreign. Or maybe when you heard the word boundary, you did like I did automatically, and you just think about it in a physical sense, like property lines or fences or walls. But the kind of boundaries that we're going to be talking about today are personal boundaries. They're the invisible lines that tell people this is okay with me and this isn't. And learning how to set those lines can be one of the healthiest and most life changing things you will ever do. But it's also one of the hardest because if you spent most of your life trying to keep everyone else happy, the idea of protecting yourself can feel selfish. And today I want to talk about why it isn't selfish to set boundaries. Okay, so let's start with a question. What does setting boundaries actually mean? At its core, boundaries are simply guidelines for how people can treat you and how they can interact with you. They help both you and other people around you to learn when and where you're going to draw a line with certain behaviors, conversations, or situations. And without boundaries, life can get really messy because when there are no boundaries, people don't actually know what hurts you or what drains you or crosses a line for you. And if you're someone like I used to be, you might never say anything when something bothers you. You just absorb it, you just tolerate it, you let it pile up until one day you're exhausted, resentful, confused, and wondering why everything feels so heavy. And the truth is, it's not because you're weak, it's because you were never taught that it was okay to protect your energy and speak up for yourself. Boundaries help protect your time, your emotional health, your growth, and honestly, your peace. And sometimes they can be really simple. For example, maybe you have a friend who loves to gossip. And every time you get together, the conversation turns into talking about other people. And maybe you're at a point in your life where you're trying to move past gossiping. You're trying to grow, trying to become a better version of yourself. And if that's the case, you might need to set a boundary that gossip isn't something you want to participate in anymore. And that can feel really uncomfortable at first, especially if you're dealing with a friend, because you're not used to saying things like that. But boundaries aren't about controlling other people. They're about communicating what you will and won't participate in. Now, here's something funny that happened when I first started working on setting boundaries in my own life. And maybe some of you guys will relate to this. When I first started learning about boundaries, I got really excited about it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I can have boundaries. I can protect my peace. I can stop tolerating things that make me feel uncomfortable. So in my mind, I started setting all of these new boundaries, and I felt so empowered and strong, like I had finally figured something out. And then something interesting happened. People kept crossing my boundary lines. And I remember feeling so frustrated. I kept thinking, why does nobody respect my own boundaries? And then one day I realized something that made me laugh at myself. I had never actually told anybody what my boundaries were. I had set them all in my own head, but I never actually communicated them with anyone. So, what I had really done was create a bunch of hidden expectations for people. And when they unknowingly crossed those invisible lines, I felt hurt, frustrated, even disrespected. But the truth was, they had no idea that line was even there. And that realization taught me a really important lesson. Boundaries only work when they're communicated. People cannot respect a boundary that they don't know exists. And you shouldn't hold them against that if they didn't know. Now, here's another really important thing that I learned. The timing of setting a boundary really does matter. A lot of people try to set boundaries in the moment, right after somebody crosses a line with them. But when emotions are high, those conversations can easily turn into arguments. So most of the time, it's actually better to talk about boundaries before the situation happens again. Going back to the gossip example, let's say you have a friend who constantly gossips when you're together. Instead of waiting until they start gossiping and then reacting emotionally, you might bring it up during a calm moment. Maybe you say something like, "Hey, can I talk to you about something for a minute?" And then explain honestly. You could say something like, "I've been doing a lot of work on myself lately, and one of the things that I'm trying to grow past is gossiping. I've realized it doesn't really align with the person that I'm trying to become." And then you communicate that boundary. Because of that, I've decided that if gossip starts happening around me, I'll either need to leave the conversation or ask for it to stop. And then comes the most important part. You ask for their respect. So I just wanted to let you know and ask if you'd be willing to respect that while I work on myself. Notice something important there. You're not attacking them. You're not saying that they're a bad person or that they gossip too much. You are not shaming them. You're simply explaining what you're choosing for yourself. And that's what healthy boundaries look like. Now, here's the part that can be really hard to accept. Even when you communicate your boundaries clearly, some people are still going to ignore them. And when that happens, it can feel really violating. Almost like somebody broke into your space without permission. And that feeling kind of makes sense because, in a way, they did. They crossed a line that you very clearly drew. But here's the truth that I had to learn. The people who consistently ignore your boundaries are showing you something very important about themselves. They're showing you that they don't respect your limits. And if somebody doesn't respect your limits, eventually that means they don't respect you. And that can be really painful to realize, especially if you're dealing with a friend. Because sometimes the people who struggle the most with our new boundaries are people that we've known for a very long time. Friends, family members, even. People who got very used to the version of us that never said no. But when you start setting boundaries, it changes that dynamic. And not everybody is going to be comfortable with that change. Some people are going to support you. Some people are going to adjust, but some people won't. When I started enforcing my boundaries in my own life, I actually lost a lot of people. And I want to be honest about that because this is difficult. Personal growth videos usually skip this part, but it is very real. Some friendships faded. Some relationships just flat out ended. And there were moments where it felt really lonely. Because when you stop molding yourself into what everybody else wants you to be, some people no longer recognize the version of you that's left. And that at first can feel like you're doing something very wrong, like you're just being selfish, but you're not. You're doing something incredibly important. You're choosing self-respect. You're choosing to live by your values instead of bending yourself to fit everyone else's expectations. And while it can feel lonely for a little while, something really beautiful starts to happen afterward. You begin to attract people who respect your boundaries naturally, people who don't see your growth as a threat, people who appreciate the healthier version of you. And those relationships tend to be so much deeper and more peaceful. One of the biggest mindset shifts that I had to make was realizing something. Choosing yourself is not selfish, it's self-respect. For a long time, I think many of us walk around saying things like, I deserve better. But deep down, we actually carry resentment towards ourselves for past mistakes we've made. We replay old decisions. We judge ourselves. And somewhere inside, that voice convinces us that maybe we don't deserve respect. Maybe we don't deserve love. But I want you to hear this very clearly. Your past mistakes do not define you. They teach you. They shape you. They give you the opportunity to grow into a better person. And the fact that you're even here watching this video means something. It means that you care about who you are and who you are becoming. It means you're trying. And believe it or not, that already puts you ahead of most people in the world because a lot of people never stop long enough to even reflect on their own lives. They never even try to grow. They never try to change. But you are here trying. And that makes you worthy of love, worthy of respect, worthy of boundaries. So before we end today, I wanted to share one small practice that has helped me a lot. Every day when you head out into the world, try to remember something. Every single person you encounter is on their own journey. Every cashier, every coworker, every stranger that you pass in the store. Some of them might be in chapters of life that you've already healed from. Some of them might still be making the mistakes that you once made, or maybe even worse mistakes. And some of them might just now be waking up and deciding to try to be a better person. So when you can, lead with compassion, because at one point you were there too. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for doing this work with me, because it really does help. I truly believe that the more people who are willing to look at their lives and say, I'm going to try to be better, the better our future becomes. And if this message resonated with you today, please feel free to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and join this little community of people who are just trying together. And I'll see you guys next week.